So thanks for coming, guys. As always, a pleasure to have you guys join ADAAWE in these workshops. So today I am going to be talking about how to know what business to open. So this workshop is usually for people that are at the beginning of their journey of starting a business. Or if you have a business, it's actually good to kind of revisit some of the information that I'm going to provide today. We're doing a little bit different here at the center. Guys at home, bear with me a little bit. Here we go. There we go. So some of you already know me. My name is Karla Briones. I'm originally from Mexico. And basically, at the end of the day, business is my love language. I am a serial entrepreneur, and I love helping others build their own businesses in any way that I can. I'm really, really passionate to help others build their business dreams. And I just want to, remind everybody that creating and launching a business, it's actually one of the most powerful ways to make an impact in your life, but also in your family's lives. And, growing your income and growing, your freedom to a life-changing level. It's something that is definitely doable. And I always encourage people to think about, launching businesses if that's something that you are interested in doing. But I get this question, what is the best business to open out there in Canada or wherever, Karla, what's the best business? And the answer is always, it depends. However, I always recommend that if people are thinking of opening a business, is that you open a business that you're passionate about first. Because some people try to think about business as something that is most profitable first, and then they think, am I passionate about it? And I always recommend doing it the other way around. Are you passionate about something? Yes, no? Okay, how can we figure out how to make a business out of it, right? A business is actually going to make you money. So there are three ways whenever I'm working with people that are in their beginning of their journey of starting their process to start a business, and they don't know what type of business to open. There's three ways that I usually like to guide them through in this process. And the first one is to solve a problem. This will be the number one thing. If a business doesn't solve a problem, it's going to be very hard for you to find customers, because usually there's going to be something that people are going to need or they're going to require, and solving that for them, it's going to be an easy way to finding, to having a business. And what I recommend is to look around you all the time. And if you ever see yourself, saying these words, gosh, I wish someone would come up with a better way too, or I wish somebody came up with an idea to do this, right? Like, it's usually going to be a problem that you're going to be looking into. And chances are, if you find yourself saying these things over and over about a particular situation, chances are there is an opportunity there. And it's very interesting because I remember, I think it was 2 springs ago, I love to barbecue. I love barbecue. The weather is really beautiful right now. But opening that barbecue for the first time in spring, it's so yuck. Like, there's like this thick, layer of grease. And I remember two springs ago, I was like, oh my God, I wish somebody would come to my house and just like clean the guff of grease, because I don't want to do it. And it's disgusting. And I think there was a critter in my barbecue all winter long. And it's like, I don't want to put my chicken in there. And I was like, that's a problem. Like, it's not an earth-shattering problem, but it's like, that's a problem that needs a solution. And I actually went online and I was like, is there somebody actually solving this problem already? And there is actually a guy in Ottawa who travels to people's homes in the spring to actually clean people's barbecue. And I'm like, he's solving my problem. And I actually ended up calling him. Very decently priced. I can't remember what the name of his business is, but very decently priced. He's solving a problem, and he says, I'm really busy during spring, really, really busy. And it's just a thing that, it's a seasonal thing that I do just to get extra cash. So he's obviously caught on to the fact that there's other people, that don't want to clean. Like you had a dog, you take him outside in your backyard throughout the winter. Come springtime, there's a big mess that you need to clean, right? So it's like, oh my God, I don't want to clean it. Well, there is a company that makes a lot of money by cleaning poop. So, if you ever find yourself saying, gosh, I wish somebody would come up with a better way to, or with a, with something that it's, it's a problem for me right now. And if you don't find it, or if you find very few or in whatnot, that's actually a really good way to kind of come up with business ideas when you're solving a problem for somebody, because chances are that, people are going to want to hire you for solving those problems. So that's way number one. Again, way number two is get curious about who you are and what you do naturally. And over here at ADAAWE at the center, we have 2 students right now, two members who do what they do beautifully. So, get curious about who you are and what you do naturally. What do I mean about this? What are some of the things that your friends, your family, or colleagues, they usually seek your help with? There's probably some things that you already do very naturally that your family are going to be like, hey, can you help me with this because you're so good at this? What is something that you do that makes you lose track of time because you love it so much, and you enjoy doing it so much? What are some of those things that you do naturally and that you absolutely love it? And then what do you do in your free time that you would do all the time if you could? What are some of those activities that you really enjoy that you would do all the time? And, there's the many times that I've done this workshop, there's been people saying, oh, you know what? I love photography. I do it because I love it so much. Or artists, people, they do art because they love it so much. Other people writing, they do writing for, just for themselves, but they really enjoy it. So I always recommend that, okay, so if there's something that you're very passionate about, that you lose track of time, that people are already asking you to do it because you're so good at, there might be an opportunity there for business. For example, my brother, he's awesome with technology. He's like, if a computer gets messed up, he will fix it. He has no training in it, but he's just so damn good at it that my mom, myself, everybody goes to him because he's just so good at it. And one day he decided to just have a little side business. It's not what he went to school for. It's not what he does for a living. But hey, come Christmas time or whatnot, he wants to have a little bit of extra cash. So he's already good at this. He enjoys it. People are already asking for it. So he might as well charge money for it. And he's doing it. So what are some of those things that, you could do even in your free time just because you enjoy it so much? So what you do in your free time that you would do all the time, or something that you're super passionate about. And we were just talking here at the studio, at the center, that it doesn't have to be, does it have to be full-time? No, not necessarily. It could be a passion of yours that you can monetize, not all the time, not full-time, but it could be seasonal. It could be once a year. It could be, quarterly, dusk or dawn. But usually business ideas that stem from something that you're very passionate about and that you're really good at and that you do it anyways, those are the really, really fun types of business because it doesn't really feel like you're working at all. So I'm a big proponent of opening something or starting or doing something as a business that you're extremely passionate about. Okay, so moving on. The third type of question that I always recommend is, shop around for inspiration, right? You don't always have to redefine or redesign the wheel, right? There's probably going to be businesses out there that make you say, yeah, you know, I'd love to run a business like that too. Or I've always wanted to do something like that. Or I bet I can do that, but way better or differently, you know? So if you ever find yourself looking at a business and you're like really attracted to it, like you keep going back to it and you're like, you know what, I really admire this type of business. I would really like to get into it. So if it's something that you keep going back over and over, or you keep saying these three comments over and over, that might be something that might be worth looking into. But obviously do not copy paste, do not do exactly the same, use it as inspiration. And then how can you make it better? You know, how can you add a twist to it that would help you make it better, so that you're, you know, you provide something that is unique. And I usually like to ask the question, because you probably have been thinking about a few things in your head after I kind of prompted these questions. And if there is a theme or a specific industry, and by theme, for example, as I mentioned, there's people that have said, you know what, writing keeps coming back. So that's a theme. Or photography keeps coming back, right? People, some sort of consulting or therapy, or, you know, that it's a theme that it keeps coming back. Or art, you know, art keeps coming back. So start thinking about what are some of those themes or industries that have come up when you know, we were asking these questions. There is a reason to my madness, so just bear with me. And I'm going to tell you a story about a client of mine. She used these, you know, three questions, right? So she got curious about who she is. She's a fantastic cook. She loves to cook. So she's like, okay, so I'm really good at cooking. And then she shopped around for inspiration, right? Like, not recreating the wheel. She found a restaurant that offers, she's actually from El Salvador. And in El Salvador, they sell these, they're called pupusas, which is like a little bread stuffed with like beans, and it's delicious. Anyway, so there was a restaurant that she kind of, like, she's like, oh my God, I wish I could have something like this, but I can do it better because my recipe is way better, and so on and so forth. And people were looking for something better. So she's solving a problem, you know, by creating this better product. And so she went through those steps, and she's like, you know what, I'm going to do it. And she ended up first starting on her own, you know, selling through like Kijiji and through friends, and started saving little by little. And eventually she opened her Latin restaurant, which is on Montreal Road here in Ottawa. And she is probably one of the best cook of that traditional dish. And she's doing quite well. So she like, we went through that thought process, and was very beneficial for her in coming up with what she wanted to do. But I want to remind everybody that it doesn't matter at the end of the day what you decide to open. If it could be a food product, you know, it could be a service-based business, or doing something that you're really good at. But at the end of the day, when you're creating a business, it's not just about the idea, right? It's not always about the idea that's going to matter. It's about your willingness. This is really important. Your willingness to believe in your own abilities and to take yourself seriously, right? Because sometimes you can have the best idea in the world out there, but if you don't trust that you have what it takes, if you don't have to take yourself seriously, if you don't take yourself seriously, you know, it's not going to go anywhere. So just trust that you have the abilities, trust that you are the best of what you do, because you and only you has the experience that you have. And once you trust that you have that ability, that you have that experience, then take yourself seriously and go for it. Because, you know, I can teach you till the end of the days about how to come up with a good business idea, but just trust that what you have is powerful. What you know nobody else does, or maybe they do, but not in the way that you do it. And then you have to take yourself seriously and go for it. So that's just a little reminder there. Okay, so let's now, you know, to open a business, I always say, let's try to think about something that you're passionate. Then after you think about something that you're passionate about or something that you like, then you need to make sure that it's going to work, right? We need to figure out if it's going to work or not. And first, I think that validating your idea's profitability is going to be very important. Thankfully, Canada actually has real business records of different types of businesses divided by, or would that tell you if that business or that particular industry is profitable? And this website is called Industry Canada Statistics. And what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to stop the share and I'm going to share something else. So bear with me for the people at home.
You have some other Zoom.
Yeah, so I'm recording. Yeah, exactly. Okay. So we're gonna go to the beginning. Okay, so there is a website. So this is a website that is called Canadian Industry Statistics. And it's actually a website from the government of Canada. So it's a government that researches all businesses, all different industries across all of Canada. And they get all of their financial information ahead of time, or like every year they get their financial information when we remit corporate taxes or when we do our own taxes for our business. So the government pulls all that information together and then they divide it in different industries. So let's say, and I'm just going to do it for just for ease of things. Let's say that you want to open a catering company. So chances are you're going to find it here in accommodation and food services. And then it's going to open a little screen here. And these are all the different businesses that the government has information about. So we're going to go, we said catering. This is actually mobile food services is kind of like food trucks, basically. So you can actually have information about food trucks. But let's do caterers just for fun. So if we go into catering, let's say you love to cook. You're somebody who loves to cook and you will love entertaining people with your food, and people tell you, you know, you should open a catering company or a restaurant or something. So when you go into here, it's already telling you that on average, back in 2020, and again, this is actually back in the pandemic years. So back in 2020, on average, the government found that catering companies make on average $355,000 a year. And on average, 60% of them are profitable, of all of the ones that they got information about. So this is actually, it's already giving you really good information right from the get-go. Okay, so it's like almost 50-50 chance that you're going to make it or not. But anyways, it's giving you like a benchmark, right? And then when you go into financial performance, this is going to be going to seem a little overwhelming, but I'll explain it to you step by step. So financial performance, and I'm going to actually change it to percentage just because it's easier to grasp the concept on percentage. Okay, so there you're going to see a lot of numbers, so bear with me, guys. So actually it's from 2021. So this is the data that you're going to find here is from 2021. And the number of businesses so that the government actually researched was 300 catering companies. So what is going to say here is, so we're going to be doing it in percentages. So 100% is the percentage. So let's say every catering company receives 100% of their revenue. So we're going to talk in percentages here. I'm going to explain it here. So this column is going to be the entire industry. So this is the average of the 3,500 catering companies. This one are the catering companies that are doing the worst, the bottom ones. These are the ones that are doing the best, the top performing catering companies, and then upper middle, lower middle. But just for this exercise, This is the whole industry. So this is the average of all of these. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, one question, do they name them if they're doing well or not well?
Yeah. So over
So
here,
people can verify.
what they don't name the businesses. No.
Oh, they don't.
No,
okay.
no, no. This is
Oh, okay,
no.
good. Okay, because that would be odd.
No, no, no. They don't name
It's
the
like,
businesses.
oh,
Great
I'm
question, though.
terrible.
That's a great question, though.
Yeah.
No, they don't name
Oh,
the
that's good.
businesses. They just tell you that they looked at 3,500 catering companies.
Okay.
And in this column, it's the average. And then this column is the ones that are doing the best. And then the ones that are doing the worst. Okay. So then from 100% of the revenue, and we're looking at average now, it's telling you that, catering companies on average, they spend 45% of their revenue, of their sales, in direct expenses. So that means that wages, food costs is 36% of their sales. So let's say they sell $1,000. That means that from that $1,000 that they sold, they spend $364 just to buy the food, to make the food, right?
Oh,
So this is actually really good information so that you can, so now let's say if you have a catering company, now you're like, oh my God. So the average catering company spends 36% of their sales in food costs. That's their food cost, is 36%.
Yeah.
So then you have to go to your numbers and see, am I spending more than that or less than that? If I'm spending more, maybe,
yeah.
maybe I need to save.
Do they have a template? Would they have a template? Would they must have?
So basically you would use this as your template.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because
Yeah.
some people wouldn't know.
Exactly. Not a lot of people know about this website either.
Yeah,
It's
unless
crazy.
you hire
An accountant.
accountant,
Yeah,
yes.
exactly. But this information is available
Yeah.
for everybody to see. And it can help guide your expenditures and your operations of your business.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
exactly. So then
Yeah.
it's telling you that catering companies on average, aside from direct expenses, they spend 52% on indirect expenses, which is, everything that's down here: repairs, utilities, rent. It's about 8% of their sales, so on and so forth. And then at the very, 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 and again, you're looking at labor here and commissions and wages and benefits. Okay. So this is assuming that if you were the owner of that catering company, your salary, it's taken into consideration in either wages or labor. So this is, you're paying yourself already. And after you pay for everything in this catering company, after you pay for rent, for your labor, your wages, food, so on and so forth, it's telling you that a catering company, on average, because we're looking at the average, they profited 1.9% of their sales. So that means that it's teeny, tiny profit if you want to be in a catering industry.
Oh, yeah, that's small.
It's a
Very,
really small.
exactly.
So you must really enjoy what you're doing.
Exactly. So that you have to be very
Yeah.
passionate about it.
Yeah. And
Exactly.
it kind of helps you decide whether you want to go and invest into that.
Exactly.
Right? Is
So-
this something for me? Do I really want
Exactly.
do I want profit or do I want
Exactly. So this is a really a good extra tool for you to make a decision on a specific business or industry that you are interested in. Because again, this 1.9% of profit leaves very little margin of error. So if you had an accident or a fire or whatever, and something that you weren't expecting, an expense that you weren't expecting, is going to come from this. And again, this is the average, right? If you go to like the best managed catering companies, they're basically 47%. That means they're managing their costs very, very well.
We have millions of catering.
Yeah, exactly.
I had friends that work there as waiters or something.
Yeah.
Cater to a lot of people.
Exactly. Yeah, they probably have a lot of volume. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, so this is just really good information for you to do extra research to try to figure out the industry that you're into. So we can even see,
When
here-
we find it, we just look under Google and we put the Canadian.
so if you go, actually, this is a good question. You are going to receive, yeah, you can Google it, Canadian industry statistics. So here, if you Google Canadian industry statistics, you will find the website, no problem. But then if you're a member of ADAAWE, there's also a member site that you can access
Oh,
where you have the
okay.
videos
that'd
of
be
this
great.
presentation, but then you also have, there's a workbook that that you can download for this presentation that will
Okay.
have all of the direct links for everything.
Oh, great.
Mhm.
Fantastic, for sure.
Yeah, so then, and even we can go into researching, okay, let's say you're really passionate about food and you're like, no, I want to stay in the food industry. So catering, we saw that it was really, small margin. Okay, so then you can see, well, what other things can I do within the food industry? Is there anything, okay, let's say a food truck. What about a food truck where I can sell something, at different events and whatnot. So when you go into the food truck, which is mobile industry, here, just over here, it's telling you the average revenue is it's a bit lower, but look at the profitability.
Yeah.
70% of them of food trucks are actually profitable. So all of a sudden you get a little hope, right? And then you go into financial performance, as I mentioned, and you change it into percentages, right? So you have percentages and you have thousands. So we're going to go into percentages. So when we go into percentages, this is information from 2021, and it's just over 2,000 food trucks that the government has information about. So, it's telling you same thing. Your food costs are always going to be high for food, obviously, for 39%. But when you pay, see, rent is only 4%. If you're paying rent on your truck, or perhaps it's you're repaying the financing for that truck. And look at the net profit. It's actually double digit, which is pretty good. So it's already telling you that if you were to open a catering company, if you have a catering place that you're renting, a commercial kitchen and so on, your net profit on average, you're looking at just 2%. But maybe if you open a food truck, you're still within your passion. If it's food, your passion, but maybe a food truck could be a different possibility, right? That could potentially garner more profits. So again, this is just a tool to kind of help you do more research, to really put numbers behind your passion and see if it makes sense or not. But yeah, I love this website. It's such a eye opener, because it also gives you an idea of, on average, how much should you really be spending on stuff. And it forces you to really take a look at your own numbers, right? Because you need to know your numbers in order to compare it to the rest of the industry. So anyways, this website's super cool. So I just wanted to make sure that you guys knew about it. I'm gonna continue with the presentation. We're almost done.
How was your trip? Remember you went?
Oh, it was awesome.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. Plus you-
Yeah, you remember. So anyway, so we know about the Canadian statistics, which is fantastic now. So that's another tool in your toolbox. So hopefully this was a useful tool. And actually, like you were saying, so I had another client who I walked him through the process. He got curious about who he is, and he realized, you know what? I love cars. I love driving, but I'm also very passionate about cooking. So I love cars, driving, and I love cooking and entertaining people. So I'm like, okay, so let's research both industries. Let's see what both industries come up with. And as you see, the food industry, very, very tight margins. And then he was like, okay, so I love driving, I love cars. And we started looking into different options, and we looked at courier services, like the home delivery services, like short courier services. And that's what he ended up going for. Why? Because he's able to drive his car. He loves driving. So he's delivering stuff for other businesses. He opened his own little local courier company, and he realized, and he made that decision because the courier company has 30% profitability. So he's like, so like you said, then you can decide, right? You can decide if that's what you're going there with your eyes wide open. And he's like, well, I still love cooking, so I'm going to do that for me, but I love money too. So he decided then to choose the courier services because it's something that he still enjoys and that he knew that he was probably more feasible to make, a living with. So it's a great tool to kind of help you decide one way or another. And as I mentioned, we're pretty much done, guys. I just wanted to remind everybody there is going to be a workbook, or there is a workbook that you can find in the members area. Highly recommend you check it out because the questions that I ask are there, and there's a section for you to answer and kind of take some time for you. And to do the research, I teach you step by step on that workbook on how to do the research, how to access the Canadian Statistics website, and then what are the numbers that you should be looking into. So if there are any questions, please ask. And if not, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you in the next time.